Here comes the money. Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money. Money, 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 money.
Well, Adam just disappeared off my screen, but as far as I know, folks, this is DeathPiles and Taxes. The official episode is unknown because we're just putting out so much content for you, but one thing we do know is if you're selling on eBay or if you are really into governmental taxes, this is the podcast for you. Adam, you're back. How you doing, my friend?
And who's not into governmental taxes? I mean, come on now, really. Everybody's about free money right now.
Right now, it's free money, but who knows, man? Who knows? Let's not get started on that. Because,
No.
We did that a couple weeks back, and I'm just coming out of that funk.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I haven't seen any free money yet, so. Oh, man, you're looking kind of rapper Mike-ish. You were ready to come over, Corona throw down.
I got my face mask, but it's one that I can put over my head. Shout out to Colbert over at the Red Rhino.
Hey, looking nice.
Some of those, the mask covers are kind of like the round, so you don't have it just on your nose. If you have a beard, those are a little difficult to, to maneuver with.
Yeah.
Because they slip all over, they're not a tight fit, so
who'd have thought
been nice.
you'd have the fashion statement with your La Libre face mask that you have.
Lucha Libre?
There you go.
Come on, man. Yeah, I'm usually totes ahead while the rest of you are totes behind.
That's a true statement. So, hey, can I share something that I got today?
Please do.
Can you see that?
Oh, I can see it, but the listening
there you
audience
go. Can you see the autograph part of it?
Again, is that a sticker auto or is that?
No, that's an auto. That's a Jalen Hurts auto draft.
But I mean, did he autograph a sticker and they put it on the card, or is it an actual on the card?
It's an actual on the card signature.
I've been looking up some terminations and some terminologies, and on the card is more valuable than the stickers they put on. Go to find out.
Well,
they look nicer. It makes sense, but
that makes sense. But no, it's a Jalen Hurts auto card. I just explained. It's kind of like the stock market. I bought some stock in him because I thought it's going to be worth some more money here in the future. So we just need PSA to get open so I can get some cards graded.
Hey, you're sitting down. First off, let me say this. Explain to the people who Jalen Hurts is, because me and you talk a lot of sports, and we assume everyone knows what we're talking about. Give them a brief rundown before I give you the best news you've had in a little while.
So he was a quarterback at Alabama, and he helped them get to national championship. And he got hurt. Tua Tagovailoa came in. He went to Oklahoma, played really well there. He just got drafted in like the third round to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm guessing somebody's going to get hurt there. So I am a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan because that's really, I don't have a lot of football cards, but if this guy does well, then this card's going to be worth a lot of money. I have no sentimental attachment. I'm all in it for the money. Show me the money.
You're a dirty bandwagon money scoundrel.
I'm a scumbag.
At least you admit it. Well, you're sitting down. I got some big news. We've been talking about PSA and our graded cards for months now, it feels like. Well, I got an email yesterday.
Oh, boy.
The doors are back open. It's slow rollout. I called them to make sure our cards were there because I hadn't been updated in my summary yet of my orders. And I said, hey, I'm not seeing my order there. I got the confirmation number. It was delivered March 19th. You guys are opening now, which is, yesterday was May 1st, so it had been sitting there for a couple months. I just wanted to make sure it was there. Our cards are there. They're in the economy pile, and we'll probably see them back in 5 to 6 months. But depending on how things go, they've opened back up. They got people coming in, and they're going to try to ramp up production, more people, but obviously that's touch and go at this point. So, hey, I got some answers.
Hey,
man.
there you go.
It may not be the answer that we wanted time frame wise, but what are you gonna do?
I'm just hoping the economy opens. When are we going thrifting? That's my question.
I mean, we need thrift stores to open back up, and I don't know, man. I'm a little freaked out about everything, so we'll see what happens. I'm not exactly sure. Is the weird answer is it depends where you're at in the country, right? Some people will hear you say that, and they'll think, man, these guys are crazy for even thinking that. Other places, people will hear that and say, we never even shut down thrift stores, depending on how populated you are, where you're at, all that kind of thing. So it's what, data, not dates. So as soon as the data shows that we're good, we're good. It's not necessarily you can put a hard date on it because the coronavirus doesn't know nor understand that, hey, it's March 5th or it's February 2nd, so you're supposed to come and go because the government says so. It just, people are safe and smart, the faster it will go away, apparently. But people don't like to be safe and smart, so who knows?
Allegedly.
You mean allegedly?
Allegedly, people don't want to be smart.
You're going to defend people here and say that people are usually smart and tend to do the smart thing in
I'm not calling anyone smart nor dumb. I'm just saying allegedly they're doing one thing and they might be doing something else because we just don't know. People are a strange animal.
Now you're saying people are strange. At first you're defending the people, and now you're throwing them under the bus. Which is it, man? I'm the one saying people aren't always the sharpest tools and do some questionable things. And you come at me for that, and then you switch it mid-sentence to people are they're sketchy.
Oh, I'm just saying that, just practicing for one day if you may or may not run for office. You got to know how to play all sides of the fences, right?
I'm not running nowhere, man. If you see me running somewhere, there's something behind me chasing me, you better run too. That's all I'm going to say.
That's it, so...
So that was the week, Adam.
It was a good week. It's again, we're kind of in that strange, we're not quite ramping up yet to buy new stuff, but everybody's selling. I mean, you got your fancy pile. Do you got anything left to sell in that bucket over there?
Unfortunately, I do. I'm actually meeting somebody tomorrow. They've contacted me through eBay a few times. This might be probably against eBay policy. I'll just disclaim this. Do as I say, not as I do on this one. I've had somebody that's been contacting me, and I think I might have even talked about it on the show forever. I got all this Utah Jazz stuff, as we've talked about, and they've wanted to come over to my house several times. I wasn't exactly comfortable with that. They flaked out on a few things, and I didn't know if they were, meth head or what. And so finally I said, okay, dude, what's the, he wants to come over. I think this was a couple days ago. I think I might have talked to you about it on the phone.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
So guy wants to come over. I'm like, just tell me, I'll come to you. Like, you flaked out, you come back every couple months. Like, are we talking a budget of, $100,000, or are we talking a budget of $20? Because depending on what I'm going to get out, I'm not going to show you all the goods. I'm not going to show you where the vault is. I'm not going to show you the, storage areas, so on, so forth, et cetera, because I don't need to get robbed or have people know where my stuff's at sometimes.
True.
Because I got some valuable stuff, as we've talked about. And so it basically said, well, my budget's whatever, like on Ed McMahon holding a check, something like that. It's a little weird. Not quite to that extreme, but it was like, whatever you got, we'll see. We'll make it, we'll see all the stuff. So I'm going to get together a mid-sized box full of some higher end, some lower end, but mainly mid-grade. See how that goes. I'm going to meet him at his store, which I looked up was a thrift store that we used to go to. And I said, hey, do you own that store? And he said, yeah, but it's not a thrift store anymore. And he kind of acted confused about it. So we'll see. Monday afternoon, I'm supposed to go take care of business with that individual. And so next week, I might have some real good stories. So anyways.
If you're still with us.
We're doing all this through eBay, which, you're not supposed to do off-site management, all that. But I'm doing it because, money. And hope that doesn't suspend my account if eBay's listening, but I apologize. But so give me an address and I'll contact you basically. So I got that going, which is kind of interesting. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they do have the deep pockets and I can unload a lot of that Jerry Sloan stuff, and that will put a big chunk in what's left of the pile.
If I remember right, you had one of these pieces of memorabilia also on the Facebook Marketplace, and that, who knows, maybe that's where he saw your information. You don't necessarily know if it's on eBay, Mercari, or Facebook Marketplace, right?
I see what you did right there, and I appreciate it. That's why you won't go to jail if Adam does your taxes, folks, if you just saw that smooth transition.
Well, that's exactly, it's hard to say. You're a guy like you. You're a man of many platforms.
Because it's not anywhere. It's not mine.
I mean, you are being contacted as one of the sports experts. I mean, you do have memorabilia over to Phil's place now. I mean, you are the guy in the know, let's be honest.
So that was kind of fun. So I had some player shoes for the listening audience, and I had a Felton Spencer shoe, which none of you know who Felton Spencer is, except for maybe a small handful. But Phil was asking me about shoes a couple weeks ago. Our buddy Phil over at the sports store, and he said he had somebody kind of interested. So I thought, I'd show him all the shoes that I have, and he was sending some people my information. Anyways, he comes back to me and says, "What do you want for that Felton Spencer shoe?" And so I said, "Oh, this is what I got listed for up on eBay." And he said, "Okay, well, I want it." And I'm like, "Well, Phil, you don't have to buy it. First off, you can just have it." And he's like, "No, I want to buy it, Derek. I want to buy it off you." I'm like, "Well, you can just have it." And he's like, "No, I'm buying that from you." And so I'm like, "Okay, well, what do you want to pay? Because, I'm going to make it worth your while or whatever. You tell me what you want to pay. This is my eBay price. I'm going to negotiate. You've been good to us. I'm going to give you your full ask and blah, blah, blah." And you know what? You talk to Phil. You can't talk him out of it. And I said, "Okay, Phil, I'm going to spend everything that you buy this for right back at your store right now." So that's how the trade went down. He gave me some for the shoe, and he was like a kid on Christmas. I got excited, and people were coming to the store. I thought he was just kind of faking the excitement a little bit for me, just to make me feel good. No, he's having people come over and look at it and how cool this is, and he's putting it in the display case. He's ordered a few Felton Spencer cards that he's going to put there. And I said, "Phil, if you want to, I'm sure you could probably afford. Felton's probably not making a whole lot right now. You could probably have Felton come stand by the display case. I mean, it's not going to cost you that much, right?" So anyways, Felton Spencer was an old Utah Jazz player from the early 90s. I had one of his shoes autographed, and they played in. Phil bought that from me, and I bought a lot of cards off Phil.
Yeah, man. Right now, there aren't a lot of places to buy stuff. That's the unfortunate thing, and, this is kind of one of the rabbit holes we've kind of shimmered down. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I'm itching to get over to one of those thrift stores. I don't know, I'd like to sift through some T-shirts. I know that there's going to be a plethora. Sounds like a lot of people are cleaning stuff out. I think there's going to be some really good finds. Like I said, I like the Yardie area. That's one of my places I'll go
You are a
find.
yard man.
Some different things. Who knows? I mean, you don't know what people are going to throw in the case. I mean, there's always the glass case.
Yeah, I'm thinking for the next couple weeks, once your place opens, too, you're going to want to hit it multiple days because they're going to be restocking and getting stuff out. It's not that first days might be a bit, but it's going to be a treasure hunt. You're going to have to do some digging to find what people have missed, obviously. But right now, people are itching to buy things. I think that's what's helping online sales. I was at my niece's birthday party the other day, and one of my friends, my sister-in-law's friends, so I guess would be the easiest way to specify the situation, what's going on here, sells on Etsy. She said that she's been way busy, too. I said, "Well, we're going to have you on the podcast one of these days when everything straightens back up." But I think it's all across online platforms, which when everything opens up, I hope stays that way. That's the one thing I'm kind of nervous about is people are probably trying to save money buying clothing because, whatever, you can't go to the store. They're going to eBay buying some used stuff. I just hope the trend kind of keeps this way because the last 6 weeks have been amazing on eBay for most sellers that I'm seeing. I mean, I was telling you last week where we're at right now. I'm just looking at it. I'm up 137.8% right now.
Killing it.
Previous 30 days. So, I hope that can keep up. Obviously, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Other places do need to get open. People will go start shopping somewhere else. But I was kind of saying this last week, a little tongue-in-cheek, but the more I've thought about it, there are people at home, and they're getting paid unemployment, and the extra $600 bonus, whether you like that or not, they got extra money, more than what they made when they were at work.
It's true.
They can't go anywhere. It's disposable income. I think a lot of that's just boredom on the internet, and I mean, I was selling puzzles like Painter was talking about, games like you know how it is, T-shirts, just everything.
Yeah.
Like we've been saying is going right now. So you gotta. The old Jerry Sloan saying, you gotta make hay while the sun's shining, or something like that.
Yes.
The sun is definitely shining, so get out there and do your farm work, folks.
That's exactly what we want to do. So, So I got an update or related question information.
Okay.
Have you seen or you watched any of the new eBay payment processing stuff? Have you seen any of that new information?
I've been watching it since it unrolled originally. The reason I never got in was because of the global shipping program. At first wasn't in there. Now they have incorporated it.
Not yet.
I think it's it's not yet?
It's still being worked on. That's the problem.
Okay, last I heard is that it was in there, so I was thinking about joining it. That's the reason I haven't. I like it because what they have, like Google Pay, Apple Pay, all your credit card. It doesn't go through PayPal, although PayPal can be a place that people pay. So it should be eliminating some of the PayPal fees and some of the merchant fee kind of thing. So you actually will keep more of what you sold, is what they're saying. I don't know. But yeah, I've seen a little bit on it. It's supposed to be unrolled, I think, by the end of this year, but with, again, everything going on.
They're kind of, like I said, in that thing, there's supposed to be less fees, which is obviously great. That's what everybody wants, to make more money. The managed payment, it simplifies buying and selling process. It offers more payment options for buyers. It's supposed to be more convenient, streamlined, but you hit the one thing that they're still working on is that global payment option, which, we all know eventually everything's going to get switched to it, and they're still working out those bugs, but, I think that's one of the things that, still, okay, well, what do I really want to know? Honestly, unless you're talking huge issues, which is funny, I saw somebody, they were online kind of talking about it, and this person was complaining. They says, well, this is what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find a platform that can integrate all of my PayPal things, do all my accounting, tell me exactly my profit margin on every single one of my items, tell me what my inventory is, and tell me when to reorder stuff. And everybody's like, that doesn't exist.
You go ahead and make that, and you'll be rich. People, I get it. I complain about things too, but sometimes people are just like, hey, I want somebody that'll come list all my items for free.
Yes.
Tell me how much money I made. When I go shopping, they'll do all the dirty work for me. They'll clean everything. They'll put it away and they'll ship it for me. And then I want eBay not to take any money for that. And why doesn't this happen? And you're just like, come on, people, be a little realistic, right? But no, I like it. I think eBay has the right idea there. Definitely need to get global shipping in there. That's where a lot of my stuff's been going. I guess that should be a tip for people of this whatever you want to call it, the corona, is going around globally, so people are on lockdown globally. And if your money is a euro or a Great Britain pound or from El Salvador or wherever, it's just as good in my bank account as anywhere else if you're going to pay that price. So
yes.
If you're in that global shipping program, it makes it really easy. You ship it to Kentucky, and then when they say, hey, there was a hole in my thing or it got damaged, like we talked about last week, you don't even have to file a claim. eBay just eats it because they're going to check it before it goes. I think we've talked about that before.
Yep.
So as long as you get your item to Kentucky, you get paid basically, and you don't have to worry about the rest of it, which is really nice.
Yep.
So I think it'll be a good program. I like the idea of it. I like eBay. Bring it in-house. Another problem is people would open. So if they lost a case with you from eBay about a return or a damaged item or whatever, and eBay said no, they were at fault. You're fine. A lot of people would do this backdoor PayPal, open a case in PayPal, and you have to go through a whole other case and try to prove that that you weren't at fault for whatever they were claiming. So that way, it kind of eliminates the backdoor return scammer kind of thing, and eBay's just in control of everything, which makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of options, and like I said, your best thing is to keep yourself educated, but the more work you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. Like, yes, everybody wants to know everything, but it's that hard work, it's that documentation, it's the having a spreadsheet, looking at it. Now, again, if you're just getting into the game, you don't know how important those things are until you're kind of past that point. We bought a lot of things that I kind of know what they cost, and, we've got, I don't know, maybe $1,000 with some card stuff, maybe $1,500 that we've put into it. But, the more you get into it, the more you're going to want to know how much did you pay for items, so that as you get tied to the accounting, as you get more into it, you want to know, okay, are you really making money? Because everybody talks about their big winners. Everybody talks about, oh yeah, I bought this and sold this. Okay, well, what about all that other stuff you bought that you haven't done anything with?
Yeah, other stuff sitting on the floor that you sold because you paid $1, so somebody paid you $2, but you didn't put in, your free shipping or the eBay fees, and you actually lost money on it. That happens a lot. Also, for people, tax time. Adam's going to ask you your cost of goods sold, right? How much did you pay on these items? And if you don't know, you're not going to be able to deduct it on your taxes, all that kind of thing. And some of that, I mean, if you're spending a few grand, on items or more, that's going to add up pretty fast to what you're actually selling it for, how much you actually made. That is important stuff for people to know.
Yeah, and like I said, and we had talked about before when we were at the eBay meeting, people get really concerned. Like, they get really, really like, well, Derek, I bought this whole bunch of stuff. I bought a lot of stuff for, $250. I don't know exactly what that item was. It doesn't really matter. I mean, in that case, like, we're literally talking versus saying, well, the item was worth $2 versus the item was worth $20. Like, it's not day and night difference when you're dealing on such a small scale. Now, if you went and spent $10,000 on, a whole truckload, again, just kind of spread it out evenly, kind of get your average cost. But if you're going and you spent $10,000 on, 12 things, like, that's pretty easy to find out what you spent.
Yeah, it's kind of seeing the forest for the trees. I'm all full of my analogies right now today, but like a lot of people will see, okay, it doesn't really matter about $1 here, $1 here. By the end of the year, they're like, oh, that was $10,000. And I'd say, what do you spend $10,000 on? They say things. When if you'd be like, hey, $20 at this yard sale, $100 at this thrift store, bought that stuff from Jerry down the road, it all adds up, and you just have a little note, okay, $10,000, and here's the breakdown.
Yeah.
You give that to Adam or whoever's doing your taxes, and okay, you know where it went. Or, Lord forbid, the IRS shows up at your door, and you're just like, I bought some stuff, sold it on the internet, and they're saying, what stuff? They're not just going to be satisfied with, well, I buy things and I flip it. It was just a quarter down the road at the yard sale, and, you got to have somewhat of a structure.
Yeah, you got to know. And like
basic idea. I mean, it's not like you have to be, some big berry businessman that has a team of accountants that does all this work for him. I think that's where people get intimidated.
Yeah.
But it's just common sense, even if it's just wrote down in your notebook.
Yep.
Something that simple.
Keep some records of it, and like I said, the same thing. I mean, the more documentation records you keep, the better off it's going to be. I mean, we're all in this to make money. I mean, you're in it for the treasure hunt because, hey, it's fun. I mean, that's the one reason I think a lot of part-time people get into it. But then you realize, like, hey, I could make money at this. Not only is it fun, but then I can make money. But then it becomes a job, and sometimes it might not be fun. But it depends on what you really are in it for. Are you in it for the hobby, the learning, the actual making money? I mean, there's so many things to every job. I mean, everybody says, well, I hate my day job. Well, guess what? Every person in the world hates his day job. Like, there's going to be something at some point that is difficult and hard, and that's just a part of it. You've got to learn. And if you want to really get into it, and make a good living, then you're going to have to put in the hard work. You're going to have to put in the dirty work.
That reminds me of, Alice Cooper.
I've heard of him.
Brother Cooper. He said that he works for free, essentially. He does the concerts and stuff for free. They pay him to travel, because the travel's the pain in the butt with their profession. That's where all the things go wrong, or it's just the hard part of being on the road. So he works. So I think they pay us to, I think as an eBay business people, we basically, we don't have a job. We work for free, but the job part comes from doing the work of the sourcing and then the listing. That's where, we go and find the treasure hunts. We do that out of the goodness of our hearts because that's what we enjoy.
Yes.
I guess it doesn't quite equal over because we are independent businesses, but that's not where your money's made necessarily. That's the fun part. That's the part anybody can do. Anybody can get that treasure hunt, a little adrenaline rush of like, hey, this is cool. Where you make your money, where you get paid is when you actually write down the items. You do the taxable side that can be a little daunting, a little challenging for people when you list things, hoard up the death pile. mean, I've said it before, the money's made on the purchase because, that's where your margins are, depending on what you get it for. But actually, the work, the not fun part, don't make yourself a slave to the sweatshop, but you got a list, you know, and you got to make some sort of whether or not you have some software, whatever, you need to show and be accountable for what you're doing, or, you're going to get this big tax bill and you made no money.
Yeah.
It's going to be a waste of your time.
Everybody can say they've got a stack of stuff worth a lot of money, and it's not worth anything until you sell it. Like, I don't care what you say or think. I mean, it is not worth anything until you actually sell it and have money in the bank. Like, this cool card, like, yeah, I just spent $60 on it, and to the guy who had it, yes, that's right, it's worth $60 because he got $60. My hope and dream is I have it, I throw it to PSA, I increase the value, and then I can say it's worth 200, 300, 500, 1,000, who knows until I actually get the money. It's the same thing with our DeathPiles, our stacks. Yeah, the fun part is going and buying it, but for me, the really fun part is when you sell it.
That's why I do enjoy the perceived value, and this will get me on a little bit of a rant, but you watch the TV shows, the Pawn Stars or the auction block people, and they always put up the pickers. It's like, hey, this old tuna fish can's worth $75, and so they just put that in the total for the TV show.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it's like when you're a kid and you have that Bo Jackson rookie card or whatever, you're like, hey, this is worth $20,000 or whatever. It's like, not until somebody pays you the $75 for the tuna fish can or the $20,000 for the card is it worth that, like you're saying. And usually that has to do with some work and some either got to figure out what you have, do the background check, do the listing, do the cleaning up, do the PSA process. There's usually something before step A and step B. A lot of the old people around, or the hoarder type people, I guess, not necessarily old, they don't want to get rid of anything because, hey, that's worth this, that's worth that. Well, no, it's not. It's just clogging up. It's just a fire hazard at this point. It's not worth that necessarily unless somebody's offering you that money. And you see this a lot on Facebook Marketplace. It's a great place to score and get deals or things that are kind of undervalued or people are trying to get rid of. But there's also hey, this is a Michael Jordan 1993 Skybox card. It's worth $50. I'm like, where'd you even get that number? Like, at best, it's worth $3. And if it comes back PSA grade of 10 after you invest the time and put it through there, it might be worth 25 or 50 or whatever. But it's just, people just have it in their mind, hey, this is what it's worth, and that's their bottom line. And when you even try to talk to them, it's just crazy because you'd say, if it's a car or something, people understand cars and depreciation and houses and how they don't necessarily depreciate, but they go up in value. People get that, but when it comes to common goods or whatever, they seem to just have this blind spot of like, no, I bought this VHS tape in 1987 for $30. No way it's worth 25 cents now or nothing. It's worth $35, and it's just like things constantly change, values of things, markets of things. In our friend group, we've been talking about oil prices, right? Oil prices seemingly overnight went from like $80 a barrel to where it was negative. And I mean, that's the value. You can't say, well, because it was this yesterday, that's what it is today, and tomorrow it's going to be a whole other thing. Well, that's how everything is, to some extent, right?
That's a perfect example. I'm glad we got into it. Maybe we'll, jump into that the second half of the show, go into your buddy Mattress Mike. I finished that up. That was pretty cool.
I'm proud of you. Do you want to tell the folks where you were yesterday?
Oh, yeah, we'll get into that. We did our part. We did the social distancing thing. I don't even know what that means. Anyways.
It means you're more than 6 feet away from people that you don't live with.
Okay. Yeah, so...
Or work with.
I've got a client. Like I said, we're in Utah. And apparently I learned something new that I had no idea existed in the state of Utah. There's a thing called a trilobite. It is it's a 500 million year old bug that lived on the earth, and there's fossils of them. Basically, it got stuck in mud and millions and millions and millions of years created fossils. And apparently, there's 3 places in the world that you can find fossils like these, and 2 of them are on private land. And this one that we went to outside of Delta, Utah, is, I guess, the only one in the world that you can go to and go get your own trilobites.
And it's a favorite because whenever we'd go out to Ely, Nevada, we'd see the sign, and for whatever reason, it cracked us up. Me and Mr. Painter and my father.
Yeah, you go out to You Dig Fossils. I'll post some pictures. We found some pretty cool stuff. So essentially, they send you out there. It's quite the jaunt. I mean, from where the sign is on the road, it's an hour on a dirt road. Really cool. I mean, so we asked because my children were very interested. Like, Dad, how did somebody find this? Like, how does this just happen? And apparently it's been passed down for generations and generations. I guess the Indians had found it, and then the information just got passed along. And my client, his father bought the rights to the mine several years and years and years ago, and now he's got his grandchildren there working. And essentially, it's just a huge place. They have a tractor there that rips it up, and you've got rocks out there, and you take them and split them in half and hope you find a big old fossil.
My grandpa was a trilobite man. Your daddy was a trilobite man, and son, you're going to be a trilobite man someday.
Rockhound. So we had a good time. It was definitely fun, enjoyable. We found some cool stuff. Fun event because it's, like I said, something we'd never done before. We got outside for several hours, got to spend some time together in the car. It was definitely a fun place. Of course, you know me. I'm driving by these old little towns and places thinking, man, that truck right there, if I had $3,000 right now, I would go to that guy's doorstep and say, I like that truck. I had one when I was 16. Can I buy that truck for $3,000?
Yeah, or probably a lot of those small little mini marts that are full of things that just, no longer manufactured that people pay top shelf for, the dusty items.
Oh, I would have stopped, but they were all closed.
Yeah, did you stop and have yourself a burger?
We did not get to your namesake brother-in-law, the Ashton Burger. We did not make it there.
Hey, listeners, do yourself a favor. Ever you're in Delta, Utah, home of Christy Teigen, that's where she's from.
Yes.
Married to John Legend. There's an Ashton's Burger Barn, and you'll thank me later.
Yeah, home of the Delta Jackrabbit. So we went out and did our part. We supported our local community businesses.
You stimulated the economy a little bit?
Yeah, it was even funny. We got there, and the kid's like, oh, no. Because I'm like, yeah, we already paid yesterday online. He's like, oh, you weren't supposed to pay. I'm like, no, we're going to pay you for our time.
Hey, now let me ask you this. Have you looked on eBay yet? Let's try to buy because I'm doing that right now.
You know what I did yesterday night.
There's a rare, stunning one from China here that went for $59. There's a Czech one for $70. There's all sorts of trilobites.
There are several in there for you could sell them for anywhere from $20 to $200. It just kind of depends on what you had. We really spent probably about an hour and 20 minutes really looking, and again, it was our first time. We were kind of rookie novices, didn't quite know what we were doing. Right when we were getting ready to leave, I found a large rock, and I was able to split it in half, and we found one that had like 9 different specimisms, I think that's what they call it, in the rock. It was really cool. So I think if a guy got really good at it, you could go do quite well on it. But it was fun, enjoyable. We're going to have them kind of cut up, polished, and hang them up in the garage.
Oh, there you go.
Put them on a shelf.
Put it on a shelf, why not?
So there you go. So let's cut for a break. I want to come back with some funny. I had a chance to listen to a couple podcasts on my way out there because it was quite the drive. Listened to a few, and I feel like we need to bring some funny. We need to throw in some stories because
I've been trying, but I can't carry you all the way to the finish line every week, man.
I know you're doing your part, so I'm going to come back and see if I can do my part to bring in a little more of the entertainment aspect and see if we can bring some life back into the quarantine. Breathe it back in.
We're going to resuscitate.
See if we can resuscitate. So let's listen to some of those good sponsors. Well, it's that time of the year. It's time to file your taxes. What a daunting task. Can you imagine sitting in your basement, taking all 12 months of all your receipts and just trying to figure that out?
I got that shoebox full of receipts, and I'm going to make this work.
And then what do? You get online and you try and figure it out yourself. It ain't worth it, man. Hey,
you need to file your taxes, go to adamupaccounting.com. We'd be happy to help you. We understand resellers like crazy. We know how to file your taxes. We know how to put all your expenses in the right categories. We know how to take care of it timely, that you feel like, oh, this is well worth it. I should have been doing this my entire life. Look at Derek. Look what he used to be. And look what we've got him trained into now.
I'm a champion of living your webs.
That's what your Twitter says. So go to adamupaccounting.com. You can find us on there. You can message us directly. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you out so that we can decrease the stress that you have coming up in the next few months.
If you're not on Visible Mobile, what are you doing with your life? You just must like to waste money. Visible Mobile, Adam. What is it? I'm here to tell you, it's a new phone service running on your Verizon network. You can pay as little as $25 now. They've got this new thing that's called a party plan.
The party line.
It's like a family plan, except for you don't have to go around and collect all the money from everyone. Everyone pays their own bill.
I don't have to Venmo my cousin.
You don't have to Venmo your cousin Eddie. You don't have to go down that trailer park and try to wake up Granny and tell her, get out of your wagon and give me your money.
So you're saying I need to get on Visible Mobile to start saving money every single month.
All in, $40 a month, down to $25 depending on how your party plan goes. You get unlimited everything. You get the best coverage there is available. You have a mobile hotspot included. Of course, when you go there, you're going to use our promo code. Adam, do you remember our promo code?
Not yet.
Well, I'm going to tell you what it is. BBWVQ. And let me say that for you phonetically. That's Bravo, Victor, Whiskey, Victor, Quebec.
Go to Visible Mobile.
And we're back. Second part, Death Piles and Taxes. Everything about taxes and making money and not spending it to Uncle Sam.
Not giving one red cent. Did I tell you? I think I told you that. I got that message from that person. Did I share that with the podcast?
I don't know.
Somebody gave me an offer, but they had to wait till Friday when their rich Uncle Sam paid them because he's got a lot of money.
Oh, that's kind of
some
funny.
money. I like that.
I'm waiting for my rich Uncle Sam to send me some money. I don't know if that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, I'm on that waiting list somewhere too, I think.
Well, you know, here at the Death Piles and Taxes podcast, we like to talk about the unique, the obscure, fun ways of making money, kind of thinking outside the box. One thing that has been going quite well is, you know, I said my eBay store's kind of been lacking a little bit because I haven't had much time. Been trying my other e-commerce business with the wheelchairs, and that's really starting to churn and burn. One thing that really actually kind of hit home a lot is, you know, you can't sell with an empty wagon, right, D-Roy?
Oh, I mean, that's what Granny always said, right? So you got to load up that wagon if you're going to sell some goods out of it.
We've been loading up our wagon, you know, just like the same thing, you know, you trying to sell your Angus MacGyver jacket on Main Street in Payson, Utah. Just the market's very, very thin because there aren't a lot of people that were coming up and down on the street to find it. You know,
it's a wide world, and whatever you have might be very popular in a place you've never even heard of.
And exactly, and that's what we've spent the last couple months doing is kind of really working on the website, channeling people to come find our product. It's been going quite well. We've sold several here in the last couple weeks. Just sold another one to a guy in New York yesterday. So, and really kind of the more I thought about it, the wagon has to be full, and we have it. It's just nobody knew where our wagon was.
Yeah, like we talked about, no one's going to come and find your death pile, come to your house and say, hey, let me go through your stuff and here's some money. That's just not how it works, you know, I'd say typically.
Yeah, and again, kind of depending on your product, and I really feel like that's, you know, that's what a lot of the resellers are doing. I mean, if you think about this in the last, you know, year, basically with everything, but over the last couple years, nobody knew who Casey Parrish were. Like, nobody knew who these other resellers were, these scavenger hunts. Like, yes, a little bit's out there, but now there's becoming more and more interest, and just like them, they want to hear about their wagon. Like, they got to know how did they build their business, and that's kind of what we're doing, too. We're trying to pull back the curtain, share some of the things we've been doing. You whether it's specifically related to eBay, whether it's other businesses, other parts of life. I mean, we know we have friends that say they don't sell, but they're always looking for us, right?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of trained eyes out there that are more than happy to say, hey, look at this. So, and that's been nice.
And I guess that's kind of the whole thing, is it's not just about you going out and selling something on eBay. It's kind of opening up your mind to realizing there's other ways to do things, and it's all about that. And that's going to kind of lead me into a very unique story that you led me on to about one of the podcasts. There's this gentleman, Mattress Mack in Texas. He has mattress stores, furniture stores all over the state, biggest, furniture seller in the state of Texas. And he kind of got himself in a quandary, to say the least.
Well, for the folks there, we touched about it on the Husky section, I think a couple of times. I recommended it to Adam. He was going to have to look at Trilobites, so he gave it a download. But, yeah, Mattress Mack is just this over-the-top character that everyone's got one in their state, whether it's a car salesman or it's a computer guy or it's whatever. It's the guy on the commercial that's this big character of come in here, no offer, will be rejected, buy low, the crazy commercials, all those things. So that's who Mattress Mack is to people in Texas.
So that was kind of a very unique situation. He offered everybody, if the Houston Astros win this, then I will basically give you a refund on anything that you spent that's more than $3,000, right? That's kind of the premise.
So if the Houston Astros win this, being the World Series on this particular year, was it 19 or 18?
It's 18.
So the 2018 season, if the Houston Astros, who had a great team at the time, win the World Series, I will, whatever you buy in the next, was it 6 months, or it was the time frame,
Yep.
of some amount of months, as long as you spend over $3,000 on furniture in my store, which was, I mean, as you can imagine, TVs, beds, and just, sofas, all that kind of stuff. Spend over $3,000, which isn't hard to do. If they win the World Series, I will, basically, it's free. You have an agreement, and it will just be, you own it now. So the idea is people will go in there and buy more than what they wanted because they're big Astros fans. They think the Astros are going to win the World Series, so they're going to spend, $10,000 to $15,000 on furniture and things. And as long as it's over that $3,000 threshold, they're going to cheer for them to win the World Series. If they win, that bill is forgiven.
And it was an interesting story because he didn't know what to do on it, because he's like, oh man, they're getting closer and closer to winning. So he had to hedge his bets, right?
So with most of these things, there's companies out there that you hire and you say, hey, this is what it's looking to cost. How much would it be for insurance on $15,000 or $15 million or $3 million to cover just the insurance cost is, I'm going to pay this fee if it ends up costing me the $15 million. I put in an insurance claim, they cover it. If I don't, I just lose the money basically. So you're trying to hedge that, and the Astros were doing better and better as he was trying to make this deal.
And he was betting money that they would win, so that if they win, he'd win enough money to pay everybody for the money that he was going to refund to them, right?
So it comes to a point where the insurance companies say, no, we're not going to insure you. There's no way that the odds are they are going to win it. You're going to lose millions and millions of dollars, and it's just not going to be worth it for us to insure you, or the premium that you're going to have to pay is something you can't afford. So he said, oh crap, I'm going to go bankrupt and I'm going to lose everything. And so then he got creative and said, well, if I go and bet a certain way per game, so baseball, this is a 7-game series, but this is even go back to the end of the regular season, that he was just going to start betting a large amount of money, and hopefully that would hedge his bets, so that basically he wanted to break even with the amount of furniture costs to him versus the betting money won.
Yeah, so we kind of bet back and forth and back and forth. But the story was so unique. It was so interesting. He basically found these two guys, which they're, in the gambling business, but it's not like you could just take, I'm going to take $3 million to the casino and put it in on this bet. There was so many aspects to it. I mean, taking 100,000, 200,000, it was crazy. Like, it was literally almost nearly impossible to make some of these bets, which as a casino, you'd think you'd be like, well, what the heck, we take this guy's money. But the problem is when somebody's going to bet that kind of money, you're like, what the heck's going on? Why are we going to, this guy knows something we don't know.
Yeah, it comes back to, is this organized crime? Is there a fix in that he's working with the team? A lot of these people are doing their backside homework and research. So he finds, these two guys who are quote-unquote professional gamblers, which is a thing. And he says, hey, you guys, I'll give you a cut X amount of money, but here's what we got to do. I need to, and he was sharing dollar figures they didn't give in the podcast, but we'll just make it easy. Hey, I need to make $10 million so that I don't lose $10 million to break even. And how do we do that? And, you can't just go put $10 million, like I'm saying, on one game, make it or break it, because a casino is just not going to take that kind of a risk. So he learned that, one, you need to have the cash on hand, which was a lot harder to do than they thought. Some of the casinos would require him to fly on a private jet, land on a tarmac. Well, they made the bet for him. He didn't want to do anything offshore or illegal. He wanted to keep it all legal, which...
All in the United States, too.
All in the United States as well. So it's an interesting story. And these guys were scrambling and leaving banks and trying to get across town. And with baseball, with pitchers... So a lot of sports, if you make a bet, that's the bet. That's set, just stands. In baseball, if a pitching rotation changes, so the starting pitcher goes out, that can void your whole ticket and change everything. So it was a lot of hoops they had to run and jump through. And the further they got, the Astros actually made it to the World Series that year. So, yeah. And he was the weird thing is he was an Astros fan.
Absolutely.
Huge Astros fan. But it would have been more beneficial for him if they had lost.
Yes.
Financially, but he couldn't bring himself to cheer against his team. So he was actually cheering for himself to lose money and have to do all this. This is just a strange story.
Yes, and that year they did end up losing the World Series, so it actually ended up working out good. But then he continued doing the promotion the following year, but he was a lot more. He knew a lot more about it. Kind of the way it would work.
A lot more prepared.
And everything. So the year that they did win the World Series, he ended up getting a World Series ring. They gave him this ring because it became so popular and so much information about it. But the funniest, out of the whole story, these guys talked about they'd go to this place every day from 12 to 1 for lunch. They'd spend $200, they'd play video poker, because they'd give them an extra $20 free. They got free drinks, and then they had clam chowder. Like, they'd have different things. So, like, they'd go in, they'd talk about all these things. That's usually when he would call them, and they'd have this conversation. But the one guy was really funny. He says, yeah, we were on our way, and we had to go stop. So he's like, yeah, I had $150,000 in cash in a duffel bag that that was below my feet because I didn't know what else to do with it.
Yeah, but he had to get his clam chowder. He couldn't lose his clam chowder lunch,
So the moral of the story is these banks, like, they didn't have all of the money. It's not like you can go in and say, I want $150,000. Even if you have, $1 million sitting in the account, it's not like they carry that kind of cash on hand, which makes you think these bank robber stories might be not quite as good as what they really are. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that's why. I think it was probably those bank robber stories where banks said, okay, let's be smarter about this. How much do we need in operational cash for a day on hand? And they probably came up with a certain amount of, depending on population and size. Okay, you have 200,000 on hand, or you have 100, or however it broke down. But that was the one thing that surprised me is during the story, and if you're looking at, the name of the podcast is Gambling with an Edge, and it's the Mattress Mack episodes. There's a two-part series.
Parts, yep.
If this interests you at all or whatever, you should go give it a listen. It was a good listen.
And there were a lot of details to it. Like, even me,
a lot more details.
Even now, like, me talking about it with you, it helps out a little bit. But there's a lot of because they go into some specifics, but there's a lot to it that they didn't quite explain, hedging the bets and all these things. So kind of get your feet wet, and it'll open your eyes to some possibilities.
But yeah, that was probably my biggest surprise, is that if you want, say you're going to buy a house for $300,000, right, and you have that in your account and you just want to pay cash. In order to do that, you would have to let your bank know a couple weeks in advance, hey, I need $300,000 cash, I'm buying a house, and this is the time and whatever, I'm going to pick it up. Mattress Mack would find out in a day what the matchups were, what the odds, what am I trying to say, the odds, I guess, is what the bets were. And so he'd need to get a large amount of money, depending on how that broke down for him, or where he thought it would be beneficial, or these guys helping him said, hey, this is a good opportunity here, not so much there. He had to figure out a way to get hundreds of thousands of dollars from the state of Texas to either Nevada or Atlantic City or wherever they were placing these bets in a short amount of time before the games, actually, because once the game starts, the betting stops, so, or, for the most part. So he had to figure out a way to do that, which was, that was the interesting part, where they're going to the bank, they're basically getting all the money they can, then they're trying to go through Vegas traffic, which anyone that's been to Vegas during rush hour knows, especially down on the Strip and stuff, some of these casinos they were trying to get to, with minutes to spare basically before first pitch, and then get the managers to approve these large bets that were coming in. It was crazy.
It was insane. There's just so many ins and outs to it. But the thing that I really liked, and this is what I've always said, and as it kind of brought it in the forefront, that sports gambling is totally different in 2020 than what it was in 1980 when Pete Rose was allegedly, when he did bet on baseball.
Well, the other thing is Pete Rose was managing baseball at the time. He was involved, so that was another.
But he bet on himself, though. Like, he bet on himself.
But,
what's the difference between a CEO like coming in and wanting stock options, because he's essentially betting on himself? Like,
it's all. You have to go back to the Black Sox and all that, though. There's a reason why. There's the stigma. I'm not saying right, wrong, or indifferent. He's saying that he bet on himself. He wasn't doing it legally through legal channels. We know people that are involved in sports, and they have to sign agreements saying that they will not do this, so it's breach of contract.
Yes.
But definitely the stigma of sports gambling and betting has changed in the last even 10 years.
Yes, and
when we used to go out to Wendover and have to explain what the line is or over under to people, to now where it's on ESPN before the game of, hey, this is the favorite right here, 7 points or whatever.
So it's again, there's kind of a I don't know what you call it, with a perception of what things are, and I really think, again, tying it back in, the idea, the mantra of reselling, I think that stigma, it's going away. People understand that, hey, reselling is a real thing. Like, you can really make money doing this. There's people making, $500 a week, $5,000 a week. There's people making a living doing this, and it's not like ashamed anymore. It's not like, wow, you're just doing, not like it was, let's be honest. People, they say, well, what are you doing buying stuff from the thrift store, and now it's essentially gone away.
Or somebody say, hey, what do you do? And you tell them your job, or if you're a full-time reseller, you'd say, I sell stuff on eBay, and they thought that meant that you lived in your parents' basement and were smoking weed and didn't have a job. That was the stigma of like, oh, well, don't you have a real job or real work? And they didn't see it as real business opportunity and things. And that is changing. You're correct there.
And online reselling, all these things, they're really becoming, it's real. There's a real possibility, and money talks, man. And when there's money in the bank account, then that's like, oh, okay, this person, not that that's always the measuring stick of how much money you make, but if you can make enough money doing something you like, that you can pay for your own bills and be self-sufficient, that's the goal.
Well, it even surprises me sometimes, right? I'm kind of like, why do I do this? Or, I want to go do whatever. I don't have time to focus on eBay, or I have a full-time job. And then you kind of do. You look at the numbers, and it's like, oh, yeah, I made more than a paycheck in a week from doing a 2-week job because I'm selling online. And obviously that ebbs and flows, but I know, I guess I'll tell the story a little bit. I'll leave names out, but there was somebody that thought I was kind of wasting my time, and and we were out to dinner with them, and they just thought, yeah, you go thrift stores, you're digging through trash, kind of that same thing of like,
Yeah.
you're just a weirdo, like you just like going through people's stuff, like what kind of a creeper are you? And so it was around Christmas time. This was probably 2-3 years ago. I pulled out my phone, and you know how your phone will give you your 90-day breakdown. I just put on my 90-day breakdown, and this was when it was probably Hatchimals or maybe it was Fingerlings were hot. So it was a good. I mean, it was a large number, and I said, this is how much I've made last month. And that shut them up, and we had dinner, and then they were interested in it, wanted to know how to do it, and
Yeah.
that's progressed. So it goes from what kind of a creeper are you that you're buying people's old clothes, probably sniffing them on your way home in your van, to you made how much?
Yeah.
You're doing what now? You know, that the mindset flips once people see the profit that's actually there, the potential for profit. I mean, because the margins are so low, like we've talked about. I've been selling these Young Living. I've talked about some of my MLM stuff, but there are these things that get put on the oils that massage therapists and people can use to roll them around. And I bought a whole car full. This has been a few years back, but it was like, 20K. It was as much as we could cram in this Prius.
Yeah.
And we just had it to the brim. And I remember we paid like $400 for them. And I thought, I am crazy. I am insane. But basically it broke down to being like 5 cents a unit.
An item, yeah.
And I've been selling them for 4 or 5 years now. It started off about $15. Now I'm down to about $7 because people saw what I'm doing and kind of caught up. But still, that's a great profit margin.
Yeah.
And so yesterday I went and got a box out of the garage, and I came in and I said, Holly, guess how many of these we got left? And she's like, well, is that the last one finally? I said, no, we got 3 left, but it went through, my whole garage was just full of these things. Now we got 3. And I said, that was a great investment. I remember how scared I was at the time, putting the $400 out. I'm like, we made all of our money back on the first box, and then it's just been profit ever since. And so with this, they've been going way nuts. I think a lot of people, like we've been saying, are getting into some of the essential oils or
Holistical.
whatever. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of whether or not I believe it or not. I do believe in the money that comes from it. And, I'm selling this like crazy right now. And by the end of the year, I should have no more of those. But I remember it was going all in. I was nervous. I negotiated with this guy. He had, he had something. I came up with this little story about why I needed all of them afterward.
Sure, yeah.
And went back and loaded up the car. And I just remember that was such a large sum of money. And but you took the gamble, the risk, and it paid off in the long run. So now I'm like, okay. Now I'm getting some space in the garage. What can I find these again, or maybe I'll.
What's your next?
I got a few different ideas about where I want to move with that. But yeah, people have these stigmas until. It is money talks. Like we said for years. Same with pro wrestling, right? Like what kind of and it's just my niche or sports cards like that's for kids.
Yep.
And then you're like, well, yes, but like this card sold for $10,000, and the guy bought it for $500 or something like that, and then. All of a sudden, like light bulb, and like, wait a minute, what now?
Yeah.
Or this shirt was from 1990. I paid $4 for it and sold it for $200. And they're like, for a T-shirt? I'm like, yeah, for a T-shirt. Really?
Yes.
Yeah. And people have them all across the country and have no clue about it. Stuff like that. So it's just changing people's minds.
And that's why I really want these PSA things to come back, because I want that to start happening for me, because I know that it will. Until then, I've got a stack of cards in here that my wife's like, oh, wow, you keep spending money on cards. She doesn't care, but it's like, now I want to really kind of step it up a notch, saying, hey, this is what we did. This is what's happening because of it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, even me, I'm like, okay, I got my cards. I'm like, I've listed and sold some stuff, and I've had some PSA, probably a couple of years worth of things that I have sold and went through, where you guys are just kind of dipping your toes into it, but the card business is actually getting more popular now too. So it is that I'm like, okay, I need to, because you put the investment, well, this is going to cost me X amount, and then you're hoping for that return, but until you can kind of get that to kind of keep churning it, it's kind of difficult. Even though, yeah, like you're saying, whatever, your wife's just like, it's your silly hobby, and it kind of is at some point, but once you can say, hey, remember that card, this is what it sold for, and then it's just.
At what point do you make the $400 quote unquote investment in a box full of lids that might be worth something? You've got to do that at some point to say, hey, I believe in this enough. And like I said, if you fall flat on your face, great. Like you just learned something. great, but you've got to do that at some point to really take it to the next level.
Well, and that's something too. You got to do your homework, right? So, like we were talking last week a little about cards. So that's kind of what we go back to. There might be an opportunity to buy, $400 box of cards, but if there's a chance there's a Michael Jordan rookie card in there, okay, that's worth $20,000 if it comes back. Versus, hey, this is $400 for a box that came out, I don't know, some random year, 1999, and there's not a good rookie in there or whatever. There's no way you're gonna make your money back. It's the same with these rollers. Yes, I was nervous about it or whatever, but I'd done the research and I saw what they were selling for. I did the math in my head of, okay, this unless everything goes crazy, I should be able to make my money back fairly quick on this. In worst case, everyone I know for their birthdays for the next, the rest of my life is going to be getting a box of this from me. But it wasn't, I just didn't go out blindly and buy something. You do the research, which there's plenty of places to do that, see what the solds are. I mean, go to websites like, for example, Young Living. I can go on their website and see what they're selling that for and say, okay, if I undercut that by $5-10, where's my margins at? What's that going to cost me? Or Upper Deck selling the card for this amount. Is there a limited supply? It gets a little difficult with grading and with cards. But even just common goods, you can see Walmart selling it for X. I can get it for Y. Where's my profit margin? So you just don't go out blindly and just buy things hoping that you're going to, hit the lottery. It's you've done the research and you know what the potential is, and that's when you go all in. It's a calculated risk. It's not just, throw money out to see what happens.
Oh, unless you do, and then you learn real fast.
Oh, yeah, you will learn. You will learn all real fast. And, I mean, sometimes you're at a yard sale, okay, you take some risks or you see some things or you remember some things. But, I mean, it's like we say, what's this worth or should I buy this with the people online? At some point, you just got to take a gut feel and do your research and say, I'm going to do this even though people might not see it. I mean, that's the best case, right, is you find something that people don't see.
That's what you
want.
want.
You have your own little corner niche going on there. But, I mean, I don't know. I sold from this week from the Jerry Sloan pile. It was a little mini basketball from the 1997 finals, Chicago Bulls Utah Jazz ball, and that's what I said to Holly. I said, "Hey, guess how much somebody just paid for this?" And she's like, "I don't know, $9-10." I'm like, "No." She's like, $20. No, and kind of going up. $89 for mini basketball. I said it's because of the Last Dance.
Yeah,
that's hot right now, but it was having it up, and it was having the confidence of when I put it up 2 or 3 years ago when I bought that Jerry Sloan lot. I didn't put it up for $10. I put it up for $89 with an offer. So I knew that somebody would pay, $90 for this basketball because Michael Jordan, because of finals, because collectible, so on and so forth. And I held strong to that, even when people are like, "That's crazy, that's way too high, you're nuts." It sold the other day, so who's crazy now, right? I had confidence. I did the research. I knew what the item was worth.
You knew what you're doing.
I didn't know there was a documentary about Michael Jordan coming out in 2020, but I knew at some point somebody's going to do something, and Michael Jordan's not going away or going to be any less popular. Same with, I had an old 1990s Nike t-shirt, and one of the best ways to tell if they're older shirts when you're in the thrift store is tags. Like a lot of t-shirts now don't have tags on the back. When we were growing up, we had tags, and then usually there's a date on there. Some guy in Australia paid me $20 for an old Nike t-shirt from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
I picked it up for probably $2 at the thrift store. Most people would have just put it up for, I don't know, $9, been happy to get rid of it or not bought it because it's just a Nike shirt that says "Be True Nike." But because I knew it was from the 90s, had done the research and that kind of thing, I knew, okay, that's $20, stuff like that where you just kind of learn your niche or what you're selling. And don't be afraid to list a little higher if you know what you have. Don't think no one's going to pay that price. And be in it for the long haul. We talk about that slow dime, fast nickel. And a lot of people are fast nickel or even fast penny chasers. So hold out for that dime, hold out for that extra dollar, because that person looking for that ball probably would have paid, more than $89, but they also would have gladly paid $20 for it.
Yep.
It didn't matter what the price was; they wanted the item. The T-shirt, people collect that kind of stuff. It doesn't necessarily matter what the price is to some extent. They want the item. Obviously, if you have it up for $10,000, there's obviously price breaks where people are like, "You're just insane." But if you do a little research, I mean, like we're talking about video games. I sold a video game. I'm just kind of looking through a lot of my solds right now from 2014, a wrestling game, right? That I'd had it played or whatever. I sold it for $25 because right now, pandemic, people are looking for this kind of stuff. You just gotta flow with the market, anyways. That's kind of a long rant from Mattress Mack to wherever I got there, but know your value of what you have, and don't be afraid to ask for it. A lot of people are like, well, I only paid $1 at the thrift store. I got it for a quarter at a yard sale. There's no way I could ask $50. Why? If that's what it shows, if it's worth it, well, I'll only ask 10 because I don't want somebody to get it and think that I'm ripping them off, or that they'll find out it came from a yard sale and they'll want to come murder me in the night and kill all my family. It's just that's just not how people think, right? When you're on the internet and you're looking for something, you don't think, oh, I wonder where the person got this. I wonder where they bought this. Oh, they probably got it at yard sale. They're probably getting 10 times their return, 100 times their return on me. I'm going to send them a mean message saying that and hope that they can't sleep at night. I sold we were talking NCAA football a while ago. There was one with Brian Johnson on it from 2010, but there was the Alex Smith documentary that came out for the University of Utah the other day, right?
Yeah, last night.
So, last night, but he's been getting a lot of publicity. ESPN's been publicizing it, building up some hype for this. So somebody bought my 2010 PlayStation 3, college football game that has the University of Utah Brian Johnson on the cover. I mean, it was $13, $14. But compared to, you can pick them up at the thrift store for $2. Like, just opportunities, seeing what's coming up, kind of keeping an eye on that kind of thing. It's just one of those tools that you need to develop as a reseller, in my opinion, is kind of knowing, learning a couple of niches. I'm not just one person that thinks you should pick one niche and hunker down. I think you should know a few different spots, but also see what's coming up, No one could have predicted a pandemic where we'd all be stuck at home, but you can't predict, hey, WrestleMania's in April, college football's coming up, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, winter, spring, fall. So, no, hopefully that gives you a little more insight. Like I said, there's lots and lots of opportunities to learn. Go out, enjoy it. Hopefully everybody's staying safe. Nobody's doing too many things. Hopefully next week we can talk a little bit more about some sourcing. We'll kind of see what opens up and hopefully be in studio. So, D-Roy, thanks for the time. Thanks for the do-rag. And
yeah, man. Hey, I got some questions for you though.
Okay, you got questions.
I got two questions. First off, I'll ask you this question, then I got a follow-up statement that I've been asked to make.
All right.
How's your store been reopened? How's it been this week?
It has not. Honestly, my wife does it all, so I don't even know.
Okay. I've been asked to be nice to Adam and apologize for the mean things I said about him and working with Brigham Young University, a fine establishment, and be nice to Adam about BYU. There, I've said that.
Wow. You just gave my son quite the smile.
I had a listener that told me to reached out to me and sent me a message that I should be nice to Adam about BYU. And I said, hey, if Adam would publicize myself and the podcast at BYU, I have no problem. But there you have it.
Wow, whatever that person is, thank you. I mean, we are helping the kids with the wheelchairs, so, I mean, come on now.
Nothing against the wheelchairs at all.
Well, I guess thank you for that statement. I don't know what to think, but I didn't really.
I publicly apologize to Adam and Brigham Young University for the things I may have said and or emphasized about the university and Adam's relationship therewith.
Are you reading a pre-written statement?
No, I'm just, we don't need a lawsuit. It is an honorable university and full of relevant information.
I wish everyone could see this video. You just made it why we need to have video. He is reading a pre-written statement to apologize.
Mr. Beasley and his company do great work in the community and are lucky to have a partnership like Brigham Young University. I apologize for any slanderous words or statements I may have made towards said university or motors,
Wow.
wheelchairs.
Well, let's just go out on the limb and say, I really appreciate your legal attorney there at Dewey, Screwham, and Howe. They're a great firm. Thank you for sending that to Derek again, and I appreciate that legality statement.
Royal blue is probably the best color there is.
Well, on that note,
Somebody must have some pictures of me. That's all I'm going to say.
on that note,
there's reasons I'm not running for office anytime, and Adam Beasley and Brigham Young University may know why.
well, on that note, thanks for listening. Go ahead, throw on that Gambling with an Edge. Those are some cool ones. Mattress Mack. Do also take the time. I mean, the E60 thing, the Project 11 by Alex Smith. We'll talk into it next week. I'll go over with you. But, man, that was a really good thing. I don't want to get into too many details. We'll talk about it next week. But do yourself a favor and watch that.
Share this podcast, right? If you're enjoying it, if you're listening, even if people don't resell, we have people that like it. So for me, if I hear people say, hey, you should listen to this podcast, I'm a lot more likely to listen to it than if they just stumble upon it. So if you enjoy what we do, please share it. We see the numbers. We appreciate it. I guarantee this next Husky section coming up this next week,
Oh, boy.
I guess it will be before this episode, is my favorite one that we have ever done. And it's just getting better, man.
Getting better. So there's two things in life that are certain, Derek.
DeathPiles.
And taxes.
And there you are.